how Redis Enterprise roles-based access control RBAC works and can be used to improve the security and industrialize Redis ACLs for authentication and authorizations on data and command at scale. Hi, my name is François, Principal Solution Architect at Redis since 2017. I assume that you already know what are Redis ACLs. I recommend that you watch the previous content before this one. So, Redis is used in nearly every company in the world, and the data access control is critical to ensure the data security and to respect the compliance rules such as GDPR. Each connection needs to be authenticated and potentially granted permissions on available databases, commands, and data. Let's say that we have three databases. The first one is order database to store orders, a product catalog with products availability, and a messaging database used as a PubSub message bus to communicate, and 9 accounts for microservices and employees. Order update to update orders, order invoice to generate invoices, product update to update products, product stocks to check for product availability, Angelina, the administrator who should not access the data, Paul and Pierre, the project managers for the orders and product projects who need to access the logs, the configuration, the monitoring, and to update the data. They need access also to the messaging database. David and Dennis, the developers, each working on a project and who need a limited access to the monitoring to read the data from their database and messages from the message database. Compared to real life, the permissions are simple and easy to implement, but not to scale. Security with Redis ACL quickly becomes a nightmare and needs to be industrialized and automated. Let's see how Redis Enterprise addresses this example. Despite Redis is widely known and used by developers as a database, the security belongs to ops who are not always aware of the security features. Since version 6, Redis includes authentication by username and data access authorization with access control lists. But before going further, if you find this video useful, don't forget to like this video in order to help people to find it, and I am also preparing other content, so subscribe to this channel and activate the notifications to not miss them. Okay, let's have a look at the needed permissions on the cluster and the databases. We potentially need to create the users in each database. We would have to connect to each database, create all the accounts with a password, and create the ACLs individually. If a project needs to change the permissions, it needs to change the ACL for all the relevant users in each database. What a pain to maintain, and when a new developer joins or leaves one or several projects, new projects are created, projects need access to different data structures. Let's see how to factorize this. On top of ACLs, Redis Enterprise implemented TLS mutual authentication and role-based access control to make the ACL management efficient and scalable. How to implement authentication, ACLs and roles in Redis Enterprise, and what can be easily achieved with them. Redis Enterprise roles can be compared to groups or profile to create the account and to configure the ACLs automatically in each relevant database. A role grants administration permissions on the cluster and specific ACLs for each database. So, first, we can create the databases with the web user interface. Or with the REST API. And we create the accounts with the web interface. Or with the REST API. We can create the ACLs. We identify 5 distinct ACL: read-write access or read-only access to data, publish-subscribe or subscribe-only access to channels, and database administration. These ACLs can be created with a web interface and with the REST API. We can create the role now. The idea is to create a distinct role per each unique permission set, each unique line in the table. Thus, we need to create 9 roles, one for each possible combination. A role is an account group with the same permissions on the clusters and on the databases. The cluster permissions are directly assigned to the role. Let's create them with a web administration interface. Or with the REST API. Let's create the mapping for the orders database. We need to map roles to ACLs in each database. Let's create the mapping for the product database and finally define the mapping for the messaging database. we defined restricted permissions and we still need to disable the default anonymous fallback account in each database, either with a web administration interface or with a REST API. And we can assign roles to accounts for each project. We defined read-only applications role, read-write application roles, read-only with limited admin permission developer roles, and read-write product manager roles. Let's assign these roles to the accounts. But, well, before going further, if you find this video useful, don't forget to like this video in order to help people to find it, and I am also preparing other content, so subscribe to this channel and activate notifications to not be snapped. I wrote a script to test a set of meaningful commands with each account on each database. For order updates, for orders invoice, and so on. The code is available in the blog post, so you can execute it or pause the video to see the details. Now, in terms of maintenance, we bootstrapped the projects, but things can change. When a new developer DDA joins the orders team, we only have to give him the orders dev role, and he will get the appropriate permissions on the cluster and the data. When an existing developer David moves to the product team, we only have to change his role. He will no longer have his previous permissions, only the new ones. When a developer, Dennis, leaves the company, just delete or disable the account. When the message bus needs to the stream commands, we only have to update the MSGRO and MSGRW ACLs. Okay, so applications, developers, project managers, and administrators are uniquely identified with their own authentication and have specific permissions on the cluster and on the data. My next content will talk about mapping between LDAP, LDAP, and roles. The information are already available and maintained up to date in the LDAP, so we will see how to make permissions maintenance automated directly from LDAP. While waiting for my next content, you can find more information on this topic in the description. Thank you for watching. I wish you a wonderful day and see you next week. If you found this video useful, please like and share it. If not, thumb it down. This is useful for me to tune the content and for others to find it. If you want to learn more, please subscribe and get notified. You can also support me on Patreon and Tipeee. Thank you.